Well, welcome everybody. Welcome Commissioner Brown. Glad to have you aboard. And so before we get started this morning, I want to remind folks of a couple things. This is a public meeting. It is being recorded. I think officially now, right, Dean? Not our comments earlier. So it's being recorded. So please maintain some decorum. We had a little issue with that last week. If you cannot maintain decorum, you are in risk of being removed from the meeting. Questions from the media will be taken at the conclusion of today's business. And this morning, like last week, like always, we will begin this morning's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, but like last week, we will begin it with assistance from my daughter, Erin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, in the future, if somebody that's joining us would like to have somebody at their home assist us with, a young person at their home assist us with the pledge, by all means be in touch with either Dean Hindenlang, our clerk, or Chris Long, our Deputy County Administrator, or myself, one of the commissioners. We'd love to hear from you. Let's see. And Dean's got some announcements at the end of the meeting as well. He'd like to make, our clerk. So now I'm going to need the approval of the minutes of the March 19th, March 26th, and April 2nd, 2020 briefing sessions, and the March 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, April 1st, and 3rd, 2020 administrative briefings. And I believe Commissioner Brown is up today.
Did you say me?
Yes, I'm sorry, Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Brown.
I'll move approval of those minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady? Commissioner O'Grady? Looks like the commissioner's line has frozen.
It's frozen.
There we are. There, you're back, Commissioner.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
All right, so let's move on to the sheriff then. Is Mr. Masterson with us?
Resolution number 241-20. Resolution authorizing a general fund supplemental appropriation related to a funding allocation from the Ohio Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, representing Sheriff Dallas Baldwin. The resolution announced is a supplemental appropriation within the general fund for roughly $50,000. We've signed an MOU with the Ohio Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force. They are going to be providing these funds for us to purchase some software and computer equipment to help with forensic analysis of our internet crimes investigations. As stated, it's a supplemental appropriation in the general fund, and it will be reimbursed by the Cuyahoga County prosecutor who runs the Ohio Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Any questions? I ask approval of this resolution.
President O'Grady. President
Yes.
O'Grady, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for this resolution. I'm just curious, how does that work jurisdictionally with internet crime? How do we investigate? Can we pinpoint what's Franklin County? And do we work with, I assume we work with other law enforcement agencies to sort of coordinate, and we're part of more of a task force type of approach. But I'm just curious about how that works.
Yeah, that's correct, Commissioner. If there's an investigation that would, take the, depending on some of the chatting and things that they do with their investigation that would take them outside of jurisdictional boundaries, then they would work with that local law enforcement agency to set up the sting operation or things of that nature. So yes, they are definitely working hand in hand with other area law enforcement agencies to take down these criminals when they find out the information that's needed.
Any other
Excellent.
questions?
Excellent. Thank you.
I'll move approval of 24120.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 241-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 242-20, resolution authorizing a transfer of non-general fund appropriations for the Franklin County Drug Task Force.
Commissioners, this is a transfer of non-general fund appropriations within our Franklin County Drug Task Force Fund. It is from one of the grants that we received from the Ohio Criminal Justice Services. It's roughly $26,000 for a device that will analyze narcotics. We'll be able to use it in the field to be able to tell what they're actually handling. You know, with fentanyl being a very highly dangerous drug, just by touching it, you know, it will make allow the deputies and officers to be more safe when handling and seizing drugs. And with no questions, we ask approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval.
Hello, I'm a member of.
Commissioner Brown, go ahead, please.
I'll move approval of 24220.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Hello,
Yes.
Resolution number
Thank you, Commissioners.
20 has been adopted.
All right. The Court of Common Pleas. Thank you, Mr. Masterson. The Court of Common Pleas.
Resolution number 243-20, resolution authorizing consulting services for implementation of a new firewall solution for the court's shared network in the amount of $14,875.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Pfeiffer, IT Director with Common Pleas Court, and with me is Kimberly Canada, our Finance Director. This resolution is with Rolta Advisix for implementation services for 2 new firewalls for the shared network that our court shares with the Domestic Relations Court. These will replace a couple of Cisco units that are becoming end of life at the end of April. Pending any questions, we request for approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval of resolution 24320.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 243-20 has been adopted.
Thank
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Office on Aging.
Resolution number 244-20, resolution authorizing a COVID-19 response grant to Life Care Alliance to provide meals to seniors and the medically challenged in Franklin County in the amount of $250,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Amy Funk, Interim Director with Office on Aging. In order to temper the spread of COVID-19, the state government has declared a state of emergency to protect its residents from its dangerous effects, and residents are asked to stay at home as well as practice social distancing. This state of emergency has resulted in seniors being isolated at home. This project will allow Life Care Alliance to provide home-delivered meals to seniors and the medically challenged, as well as work to identify critical needs and gaps in resources during these challenging times. This project will be in effect until December 31st of 2020. In addition, this project will also help support Office on Aging's commitment to providing home-delivered meals during the stay-at-home order. Office on Aging's Home Delivered Meal Initiative is currently underway and temporarily waives the income verification requirement now through June 1st, 2020. So if I could put it in a quick plug for any Franklin County resident 60 and older who would like to request a home delivered meal or inquire about our other available services, they can call our senior options line at 614-525-6200, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And at this time, I'd like to thank you, commissioners, for your support of this project and respectfully ask for your approval of this resolution.
Amy, we've been getting a lot of great comments from you doing this, and it's been very helpful to our seniors. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Amy, this is Commissioner Boyce. So are we doing anything different than we normally do, or is it the funding just changed? So is this additional dollars, additional resources in terms of our normal output?
The $250,000 to Life Care is definitely a new grant to them to provide home delivered meals. And then through our Senior Options program, what we're doing differently is waiving that income verification requirement during this time until June 1st to get meals out to folks faster without that income verification, hence waiving the copay during this critical time.
That's outstanding. Amy, do you all, Commissioner O'Grady, may I continue?
Please, please.
Do you have any kind of social media type post where we can just kind of put that out there? I think it's helpful that if we're all sort of promoting the programs that Franklin County has resources to. If you don't have it, is there any way you can give us something that we can sort of post and just promote this so that folks who may not know about that waiver know about it now and can take advantage of those resources?
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. On our Franklin County Office on Aging Facebook page, as well as our Twitter page, we are advertising this new initiative as a marketing plan. And all of you commissioners, your offices yesterday received some postcard type of marketing that you can actually post on your pages or send out supporting this initiative as well.
All right.
Great, thank you. My staff just was texting me to tell me that we got it yesterday, so we'll definitely promote it and put it out. Thank you so much. This is important.
And thank you so much again for your support, commissioners.
We'll also be cross-promoting on the commissioners' channels as well.
Thank you, Tyler.
If there are no other questions, I'll move for approval of 24420.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 244-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Amy. On to Economic Development and Planning, Director Sherman.
Morning,
Resolution number 245-20, resolution authorizing an economic development agreement with the Greater Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau to promote Franklin County as a tourism destination in the amount of $2,275,000.
Commissioners, we have two resolutions on this morning that are economic development agreements with two of our most trusted partners in economic development. This first agreement is for $2,275,000 with Experience Columbus. Specifically, commissioners, as part of this economic development agreement, Experience Columbus will provide the following services. They relate to a integrated convention sales and marketing plan associated with that tourism sales marketing program, comprehensive work with the Sports Commission, and a regional and national destination marketing campaign. Commissioners, over the years, Experience Columbus's efforts have generated $7.9 billion in visitor spending that support the hotels, restaurants, attractions, and shops in the area. And they've supported in the same time approximately 78,500 jobs in our community. We have Brian Ross is on the call this morning, and I don't know if he has anything to add to this, but I would respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
If I may, I think Linda's on the phone as well, but I just want to say good morning and thank you, commissioners, for allowing Linda and I to be on or part of today's briefing. You know, I appreciate everything that all of you have done from the commissioner standpoint, also with Administrator Wilson, Director Schimmer. This support you're giving us and the contract that you're providing us with is really important to the vitality of the travel economy. And as we know right now, that economy is taking a tremendous hit, along with many others. We're not saying that we're the only ones, but this investment is very important, and in some ways even more important now because it's allowing both the Greater Columbus Sports Commission and also Experience Columbus to stay engaged during these vital times with our community and our partners, obviously during this devastating health crisis. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just share just a couple highlights to give you an idea of what we're doing, because it is not business as usual, as all of us understand, but we're actually supporting a lot of our business community. We've been pushing robust social and social media calendars across different platforms. We just did a virtual tour last week with a contest, Cook from Home, which was benefiting Cameron Mitchell's Associate Relief Fund. Our social media posts have increased over 175%, and we're seeing an increase of 60% in engagement, which is very important during these times, to make sure that people understand what business is and what partners are open and needing business, even with the orders in place. But our PR team is doing weekly Good Day Columbus and Channel 10 updates with partners. We've been able to engage 170 local partners to make sure that people understand those businesses that are still providing services and how to get to them. From a sales and marketing, from a sales standpoint, our lead volume in March was actually greater this year than it was last year by about 20,000 rooms. We had over 140,000 room nights and leads in March. So very positive, even though a very difficult time. We've had over 22,000 rooms booked in March for future years, which is outstanding. So we understand there's a here and now, but there's also a very vital future, particularly with us expanding the Hilton Hotel. And we've been working with over about 120 different groups in understanding how to relocate their meetings to future years when they can't have them this year. So the revenue isn't gone in entirety. We're moving it to future years to make sure that we do benefit those individuals and bring that visitor spend to Columbus and Franklin County. So just some of the things. I did provide all of you with a more detailed update on what we're doing, but it's vital that we stay engaged with the community moving forward, and we could not do that without your support. So we are very, very appreciative. Linda, I don't know if there's anything you would like to add.
You know, I just want to echo Brian's sentiments and all the good work that's being done at Experience Columbus that also is touching the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. We are still open for business and dealing in futures. We are talking to customers. We are, of course, relocating those that can be relocated from March and April and May, and now looking into June with all of our customers. So there's a lot more hand-holding virtually right now, but the team is working very hard on behalf of the community, and you really make a difference in our work. You are a differentiator in us being able to keep the doors open and really do good work. We are in the midst of also bidding on the Women's Final Four for 2025 or 2026. And that's a mountain of work that's exciting for us. We know that we were able to host it in 2018. That bid is due on May the 8th. So there's a lot of work to be done right now with a decision in October. So there's a team of people behind the scenes with our team, Nationwide Arena, and of course, Ohio State working very hard on that project as well. And then we are also doing a lot on the marketing side. Brian's team put together a great toolkit for those Franklin County residents that are currently out of work, with all the job postings of all the companies that are around the area that are hiring right now too. I did want to add that, Brian. That's just something that's been very, very helpful for all. And then on the marketing side, our team too is very engaged in getting a lot of work done, and we're launching a virtual sports report on Thursday with Ken Schnocky, which would have been opening day at Huntington Park. So more about that later, but just know that all the dollars that you do give both organizations, we really appreciate, and it's really differentiating us out in the hospitality community. Thank you, and stay safe, everyone.
Commissioners. Well,
I'll
go
go
ahead.
wait.
Go ahead, Commissioner Boyd.
Thank you, Commissioner Grady. So I appreciate both Brian and Linda's work. You guys both did tremendous work. I don't think anyone would argue that. But you paint a pretty good picture of the positive side of where things stand. But I need you to sort of talk really about the reality of the challenge you're facing now too. And I think it's really important that we are very upfront and very direct about what's not happening right now and what's not, because we have to, as commissioners and you as leaders, we have to think about when the pandemic eases, what we need to do to recovery. And so I know for a fact this environment has to have impacted both of your agencies. And so if you could just briefly talk about really what's missing, what's happening, in your budgets and whatnot, because I also want the public to understand why we make this investment, especially now. Some folks might say, well, why aren't you putting that money towards this today? Why aren't you putting that money? We need this over here. But we also need the public to really understand why the investment in this sort of ancillary elements of the county is critical, important, not just to now, but for our future. So if you could just briefly talk about that. Thanks, Commissioner O'Grady.
Sure. It is devastating. And the organization, the two main revenue opportunities we have are bed tax, partnership, and then also the discretionary we get from the commissioners, which we're very appreciative of. We're forecasting to lose 51% of our bed tax, which is about $5.2 million. We're also forecasting to lose 70% of our partner revenues. So that's we're losing $700,000 out of about $1 million in partner revenues. Obviously, you have hotels going dark. You have restaurants not being able to hold business from a standard standpoint. So we know this is going to impact us, and quite honestly, we're not in a position to be asking for those membership dues. This is a greater good that we have to look at. So we're actually losing $6.4 million out of our budget, which is about 42% of the overall budget. You okay there, Commissioner?
Yeah,
42% of our budget. And so we looked at the programs that we had to cut, which we did. We lost over just $3 million in programs. We had to downsize our organization. We had 37 part-time individuals we had to furlough because there12 any conventions in town for them to work. They're destination specialists. We also had to reduce our staff by 12 individuals, and that hit the entire staff from our executive committee all the way down throughout the organization. And how we did that is we understood where the revenues were going to come in less than we were projecting, what projects those affected, and who was in charge of those projects. So we really looked at and tried to be thoughtful because it was a very difficult decision, as many people are going through. And then we also went into about half of our reserves. So it's been very tough. There's no doubt about it. But the good thing is that with our organization, there's the here and now, but there's the future as well. We've lost over 86,000 room nights that have been displaced already because of, starting with Arnold. All the way through March, April, May, we're losing a lot of our organizations in June that are moving to future years. So that's not an entire loss. It's a loss for this year, which revenue-wise is very important, and direct visitor spend. But we are doing a very good job, along with the Sports Commission, in booking those in 2021, 2022, 2023, the open years that we can book them. But we're going to lose almost 500,000 attendees already, and close to $74 million in direct visitor spend. That's the impact just on Experience Columbus. That's obviously not the impact on the hotels that are doing some of their own business, and the restaurants, and then you have the Uber. So I think we all understand how that cascades through the entire industry. So it is not a good picture right now, and but we are making sure that we're doing our best to support our community and make sure those who are doing business are getting those opportunities, and then using that to leverage future groups. And so the booking pace has slowed down, but they are still booking in the future years.
Thank you.
And I will add that at the Sports Commission, we also rely on the bed tax, but not to the same percentage as Experience Columbus. But we get about 25% of our budget is from the hotel tax. So we too had to lose close to a third of our budget with a lot of program cuts. We had 2 positions that we were just in the midst of hiring for that we will not be hiring for now moving forward. So again, as Brian mentioned, the devastating effect of not only tourism, but sports was probably the first casualty of all this. And rightly so, with the vision that our governor had to be really the first out front to start postponing and canceling events. Both sports and tourism certainly has taken a hit, but we know it's all for the greater good. And the Sports Commission certainly is feeling that right now, but we know that we're optimistic moving forward.
So to follow up on Commissioner Boyce's question and his point that he made to you guys, last week on Thursday, we voted to spend $5 million to outfit the convention center and create the surge, help to create the surge hospital to get ready for the surge that we're about to see. But at the same time, I spoke to Don Brown about, once the surge is over, how do we what do we do to put the convention center back and make sure that it's, clean and ready for the time that, this pandemic is over. Because, as Mark Kovac, brought up the question of these 2 resolutions today, and the fact that we're spending these dollars, and Commissioner Boyce asked the question, when the public asks, why are we doing this? We're doing this because while we have spent the last, month or month and a half figuring out how do we continue to service, those that are so impacted by this pandemic, those that are out of jobs because of what is going on, because restaurants are closed and because businesses are closed, those that are in need, some folks that are in need for the first time. We serve out of Job and Family Services and all of our other agencies, we serve clients on a daily basis. We've spent the last couple of years trying to figure out how to battle in a whole new way, how to battle poverty in this community. Brian, I've had these conversations with you recently. And, so while we're doing all of that, now we have people who are seeking services for the first time, maybe in their lives, and seeking benefits for the first time in their lives. And so we have, it is crucially important that we invest in your two organizations, because the time is coming, weeks or months down, a few months down the road, where you're going to be right back to being in competition with other cities and communities and counties in our competitive set for all of the business that you've always been looking to compete for. And the convention center and the hotels, all of those facilities are drivers for all the businesses in Central Ohio. And the restaurants that are so in need right now, some of them are still doing business, some of them are not in business at the moment. They've closed until a future day. And so, these are critical investments. And, it brings up something that Director Schimmer and I talked about not too long ago. And that is, when, a lot of us are getting a little more takeout than we normally would in these tough times. And, what folks need to remember is, and oh, by the way, it's a good idea. You should go get some more takeout now than you normally do, because these restaurateurs are in need. And that's the sign of a strong community, when we help out folks in tough times. And, mixing in an extra trip to a restaurant that's in need in your neighborhood, during the course of the week is a good thing. But you also can't forget the tip. Jim Schimmer, our Director of Economic Development, and I, had this conversation. Normally when you get takeout, you might not tip, or you tip little, and that's acceptable in normal times, but not now. Not now. It's important to remember to give a tip, and maybe even give an extra tip on a takeout order, like you normally wouldn't do. Normally you tip when you're sitting down and having a meal in a restaurant, but you don't tip on takeout. Now it's important to tip on takeout. It's really important to tip on takeout, because those folks that are working in restaurants now are working harder. There's less people at the restaurant working, and they're relying more on folks these days than ever. And so, tipping right now is a really big thing. And so these investments that we're making right now in your organization and Linda's organization are huge. It's critical, because we have to be thinking several weeks or a couple of months down the road when we get past this. We have to be thinking about that time, because people got to get back to work at some point. And your organizations help to drive those people back to work. And that's in my mind, that's what these two resolutions are about, helping to drive people in the service industry back to work.
And I appreciate that. And you're exactly right, Commissioner O'Grady. And what I will share is that we as an organization are pivoting because we're putting a plan together as we speak with our marketing and PR agency, along with the different attractions that are closed right now. So Franklin Park, the National Veterans Memorial Museum, COSI, Short North Arts District, we have Cameron Mitchell involved. We're putting together a plan that we can release when it's appropriate, that has to be very aggressive. And it's basically a 120-day plan that we're going to target the residents of Franklin County and Columbus more than we ever have, because we need, just as you're saying, to get people back into these businesses, to get them so that they're solvent and being supported, so that they can make their the profits and generate business they need to, so that when visitors do come, we have tremendous assets that have set us apart. We're also doing a focus on short-term meetings. So a 6-month to 12-month focus on short-term meetings, which we have always done in the past, but we are reappropriating some of our resources to focus on those areas to help come out very aggressive and jumpstart a lot of these businesses that quite honestly have been closed and went dark. So these are the things we're looking at, so that we can come out and be we're a drive destination, so that's going to be very positive to us. I mean, you have the Sea Lion exhibit starting at the zoo. You have obviously tremendous Clippers Club. You have, the children's garden. We have so much to offer. We're going to be very aggressive in getting the word out there over all platforms from a technology standpoint and social media.
Jim, so you know, I talked to Kerry Boyle and Cameron Mitchell's organization yesterday about the ECDI and COVID quick strike programs just yesterday. So he may be reaching out to you, and if not, we should definitely try to connect you guys on that. Brian, let me ask you, and I don't want to put you on the spot, you probably know this number off the top of your head because you're like an encyclopedia when it comes to this stuff. How many billions are we up to now in terms of travel and tourism dollars annually in Central Ohio?
Well, we're still at the over $7 billion. We don't get that update until this year. Now, we're trying to get that update. That's one of the things that we did have to reduce is some of our research,
Sure.
with the dollars. But we believe we have a very good, we get that number every 2 years. So we were supposed to get it this year, but we have a great relationship with tourism economics, and I think we will get that number. We typically get that in June. And that will give us new numbers from a job standpoint and overall visitor spend, which also goes into the sales taxes, the income tax, and things of that sort.
So when you have a $7 billion industry, you understand what kind of an impact it has on people's lives, people's livelihoods in this community. So no question about it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, Commissioner, we're all looking at this because when we come out of this, we know that the governor's not going to just, lessen the orders to where we can just go back to normal. We're looking at this where large gatherings may go back to 100 people, then it may go to 500 people, then it may go to 1,000. So we're trying to understand that going forward so that we're doing the right thing from a forecast and from a resource standpoint as well.
Well, as I've been reminding folks, you know, when as you're trying to plan for those things, look at what's happening, you know, yesterday. Look at what's happening in Europe. Look at what's happening in China. They're all weeks ahead in the time frame. So look to the past overseas, you know, to see, you know, how our friends across the across the world have been faring in that regard, because you get a little bit of a sense of what's going on.
Yeah, they're saying China's about 7 weeks ahead of us. Italy's right behind them.
Okay.
Brian and Linda, this is Marilyn. I want to thank both of you for being honest and open about the challenges you're facing and also the opportunities. How are the hotel employees and the restaurant employees managing during this time? Are the hotel employees being given opportunities to work elsewhere, and then are the hotels being able to give assurances of rehiring after whatever time we get back to some kind of sense of normal?
Commissioner, yes, we're working closely with Joe Savarese with the Hotel Lodging Association. And we've been very fortunate that we have some tremendous hoteliers in this community who have furloughed and definitely want to rehire them because labor, as you know, is already a challenge. So they're providing meals when they possibly can. I mean, the CFA and the Hilton are doing a phenomenal job. I know that the Crown Plaza is doing some great things. Hyatt's working on some things, the Convention Center. But I also know that in working, I had a call with Michelle Heritage, and as you know, the shelter board also has different needs to where they are trying to use social distancing from that standpoint. And I know that they're looking at different rec centers that they're going into, and they need help in those areas. So we're providing, we got Michelle in touch with Joe and are looking at possible opportunities for those individuals that are, housekeepers and things of that sort, convention service setup people that may be able to find jobs from that standpoint. We're also making sure that we share the links to the, to the Krogers, the Giant Eagles, all those different things. We're trying to make sure that we're providing as many job opportunities that are being provided at this point in time.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
If there are no other questions, I'm really happy to move for approval 24520.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 245-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Very much, commissioners.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Resolution number 246-20, resolution authorizing an economic development agreement with the Greater Columbus Sports Commission to encourage economic development and tourism through the attraction, retention, and promotion of sporting events on behalf of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners in the amount of $200,000.
Commissioners, this is the companion piece to the last resolution. This is a $200,000 economic development agreement with the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. As part of that, they are agreeing to continue to expand their marketing and bidding sales activities that bring competitive sports to Franklin County. That program has been phenomenally successful. Since 2002, Linda and her organization have been able to bring in 500 new sporting events to Columbus. Those activities, just in the new spend, is about $605 million a year. And then retaining the annual events that are going on is an additional $250 million. Obviously, a tremendous benefit to the community and a tremendous partner for us in terms of being a trusted partner that we have relied on to help our sports economic development activities in the area. I would respectfully request your approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval of 24620.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 246-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right. Thanks, guys. To community partnerships.
Resolution number 247-20, resolution authorizing a COVID-19 response grant to the Ohio Hispanic Coalition to provide emergency assistance for Latinos in Franklin County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Cleric with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution, as stated in the title, would provide a COVID-19 response grant to the Ohio Hispanic Coalition to aid the Latino community, primarily single mothers who are experiencing housing insecurity because of the COVID-19 virus. The contract would also allow for providing general health and safety information to the Spanish-speaking residents of Franklin County on the COVID-19 virus. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval of 24720.
Hey, Zach, this is Commissioner Boyce. Do we have any kind of communications in Spanish that we can post to promote this assistance? And then, or does the agency that we're, the Hispanic Coalition, do they have something that we can post to put out in Spanish, obviously, this resource?
We will circle back and get anything to your offices on that. So I'm not sure right now if we have anything, but we'll definitely follow up and we'll get something to the offices.
That'd be great. Thank you. Second. I second it. Maryland moved it for passage. I second it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 247-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Those will be very happy. All right. The purchasing department. Thank you, Zach.
Resolution number 248-20, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $3,612,415.35.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry-Balanier, Director of Purchasing. This resolution requests your approval of 68 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. This week, 12 out of 17 eligible POs are being presented for award to small and emerging business enterprise vendors. These 12 POs total $131,379.17. This equates to 71% of the eligible PO volume and 43% of the eligible PO dollar value. These 12 POs are being presented for award to qualified business enterprises in the following categories: 1 minority-owned business enterprise, 1 small and emerging business enterprise, and 10 women-owned business enterprises. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
I'll move for approval of 24820.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 248-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, thank you. A couple more things before we finish up. April is National County Government Month. So this month, we're going to be highlighting some of the things that counties do all across the country. Counties are one of America's oldest forms of government, dating back to 1634. Every American lives in a county, even though some places may call themselves parishes or shires or boroughs. Today, there are 3,069 counties across the country run by 37,984 elected officials. They are responsible for 66% of all roads, 38% of bridges, and 78% of public transportation. Particularly important right now, these counties run 1,943 local health departments and more than 900 hospitals. Here in Franklin County, we're always working to serve our 1.3 million residents and looking for ways to improve that service. There are 42 independently elected officials in Franklin County, 39 appointed boards and commissions and committees. From our daily social services to the work that we do there, and along with safety and justice programming, and from the dog shelter to the sanitary engineering department, our residents rely on us to help keep the community running smoothly. Some of our accomplishments from last year that we're particularly proud of include we had historic new investments in affordable housing. We created the Rise Together Blueprint for more comprehensive ways to address poverty. We rolled out a new capability to text to 911. We had the opening of the brand new memorial to local veterans. And we had a new $15 per hour minimum living wage for county employees last year. We are nothing if we are not a team here in Franklin County. We're proud of the work that we do, and we're proud of the people who do this work. We can't say thank you enough to the Franklin County employees who are keeping us on track, even as we're dealing with a public health crisis like we've never seen before. We've got some really exciting things to tell you about this month, so please be on the lookout for some new ways to learn about all of this work and with the Franklin County government for the rest of the remainder of the month. We are county government nerds. That's who we are. It's like what we like to do. So we're very proud of the people that help us do this work, and we're looking forward to talking about them all month long. Thanks, everybody. Dean, do we have any journalizations?
We do not, Commissioner.
All right. And Dean, you had an announcement or two you wanted to make?
Briefly, thank you. I just wanted everyone to know that the clerk's office has been working very closely with Chief Information Officer Torres and Administrator Sorrell, along with Adam Frumkin in the data center, to ensure that as we finish up our second general session via Zoom, that we are keeping our meetings as safe, secure, and efficient as possible. And so in the coming days, based off of guidance from Zoom and various governmental entities, we will be instituting a waiting room when you enter Zoom, which will allow us an opportunity to ensure that we are monitoring the room closely, although maintaining access to these meetings publicly. And in the coming days, we will also be enabling password functionality, which will be publicly noticed. However, it will eliminate random dialers from being able to enter the meeting by simply utilizing computer programs that would allow them to enter our meeting and disrupt the proceedings. So our information will continue to be made public. It will be publicly noticed, so anyone that wishes to take part will be able to, but we will be utilizing some of the enhanced Zoom features to ensure that our meetings are running smooth and safe and secure moving forward.
Great. Good news. Anybody else have anything before we finish? All right, well, Chris Long will be happy. We are finishing a couple minutes early, and it's time to jump on our morning briefing or administrative session on the phone. So good day, everyone. We will see you back here next Tuesday. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Sean.